Good morning, Philadelphia. What's poppin', people? It's Dante, just about to go for my morning walk here. Check it out, they're building this tall apartment building, got the Pico building, beautiful bridges, beautiful buildings. And then, what's in the foreground? We've got some poop and some pee. We have some poop and some pee. Poopy pee-pee. Check it out, we got a pee bottle and some human poop, and of course the wrappings. And or the wrappings, yeah, it's the present wrapped up, delivered right to me. No, the toilet paper, the tissue paper. Maybe we should start implementing bidets along the, the outskirts of the city for people to just poop and wipe and move on. Maybe there should just be some stations where the people can poop freely. I mean, really, what's up with this? You can't go anywhere in the city without seeing some poop or some pee on the street. And I'm sorry for using this language. I'm kind of humoring myself here in the early morning. It's just astonishing. It's like, can I get out of here? Let's leave the city. Okay, we're off the grid. All right, we're off the grid. We're going down the trail, and I'm getting the hell out of here. Let's just keep marching to Valley Forge today. Wow, look at the way that the beautiful light reflects off of the building, man. It's just such a beautiful day. Ooh, even the way that I'm framing this using the bridge above, vertical composition. Yeah, there's something about the use of an LCD screen that allows you to place the camera in these unique ways that are nuanced, right? I'm not necessarily throwing the camera directly up to my eye, but I'm allowing myself to sort of break free from all traditional compositional rules and guidelines by embracing the screen as my compositional tool, if you will. I actually do utilize the grid format on the back so you can see all these different diagonal lines, different lines that are presented, and that helps me find the center of the composition, which is useful. And so yesterday was the Italian festival, Saturday, Sunday. Actually on Sunday it was the best, which was yesterday. Today's Monday. And it was because Saturday it was raining, so I didn't attend. One day I'm gonna fall in this river. I'm inside the mouth of a snake, you see the eyes? And so, yeah, the Italian festival was interesting. So the main event at the Italian festival was the grease pole. It's a really strange thing. I suppose it's the South Philadelphia tradition, the 9th Street Italian market. So there's this gigantic pole, similar to this log that I'm about to climb, a very tall pole, probably two of these light poles, very tall. They put pads on the side. It's greased up with some sort of lubricant. It's almost as tall as this, actually. Probably way taller, actually. It was tall. It was taller than this log. But it's lubed up, greased up. And the Italian teams, there's a couple of different teams that climb this greased up pole, just using their physical bodies, climbing on top of each other's shoulders. And the goal is to reach for pieces of cheese or salami that's hanging from the top of this greasy pole. And it's just a really funny, crazy, just such a Philadelphian thing. And honestly, I don't remember watching this before. I think maybe when I was a little kid, or like maybe in high school, or certainly years ago. So I actually haven't participated in this festival recently. I'm really happy that I was able to go there and witness this crazy event. In the morning they have a procession of these different saints. You know, there's a Sunday mass nearby. They have lots of different food and vendors. And it seems like in South Philadelphia here, it's like half Mexican community and then half Italian community. Really diverse. Like I noticed when I arrived, I was like, there's all these tacos. I was like, wait, is this the Italian festival? There's all these like tacos and tortillas and things. But there's also delicious Italian food, cheeses, salamis, sandwiches, and all of that kind of good stuff too. It was interesting. Yeah, look at this statue. I love this statue. This statue of strength. Air. Yeah, maybe maybe the goal is to become physically strong. I think like the stronger your body, the stronger your mind, right? And so my theory is weak people envy strong people. They want to tear the whole thing down. You know, the weaker your physical body, or in other words, the weaker your physical body, the weaker your mind, right? You know, I actually on Saturday, on this rainy day, oh yeah, check out the sunglasses. Check out the view through the sunglasses. See through the eyes of a person who's afraid of the sun. And so Saturday it was raining. My friend watches boxing. I've never actually watched boxing before. And so I hosted my friend. We watched the Tyson Fury versus Usyk. Usyk was the Ukrainian, Tyson Fury, I believe, from the UK. That was the main like event or something. Yeah, honestly, I never watched sports on TV before. I never watched boxing on TV either. Like honestly. But alas, it was actually a really fun time. You know, as much as I think that TV, sports, beer, gambling, all these things are just distractions. Yeah, after watching Tyson Fury, like this big fat guy, I'm like, there's no way this guy is like this heavyweight champion of the world. This guy looks so weak to me. Like I'm looking, but he's just a big mass of a human with so much power. And as I'm watching on the television, the difference between Usyk, this smaller Ukrainian guy fighting against Tyson Fury, it looked like David and Goliath. And you know, I was rooting for Usyk. I was like, Usyk, like go Usyk, because he was the underdog, you know? I think maybe in society generally, we usually root for that underdog. We root for the person who is weaker or perceived as weaker or smaller. I think this is where the masses and most people are. And I think in order to break free from this sort of slave mentality, we must seek power physically. And I think that physical strength is the ultimate power. But that's just a little example. Yeah, I remember rooting for him because of that. And I was just thinking like, maybe this is a part of human nature. Or at least how I think. And probably others. But yeah, I think striving for physical excellence and greatness is something that we should champion in humanity, sort of returning to our physicality as the supreme thing in life, right? Consider all these vehicles across the street. I mean, the traffic jams on these highways are crazy. You know, maybe the human body is the ultimate vehicle, moving your two legs. You know, we are bipedal for a reason. Moving our physical bodies through the world seems to be... Did I catch that fly? Oh, I caught the fly! My reflexes, baby. Look at that little baby. I gotcha. What were you? The Zika virus? You're not getting me. I'm gonna get you, and I'm gonna eat the virus, and then I'm going to... Who is Handala? I'm not really sure. Who is Handala? Would somebody like to inform me? Who is Handala? Yeah, this is where the beauty of the iPhone is, right? The weapon of mass distraction is within your front right pocket. ChatGPT, who is Handala? If ChatGPT does not know who Handala is, it's a significant character created by Palestinian cartoonist. See, I noticed that before. I feel as though I've seen that on the wall somewhere when I was traveling around Palestine. Hamdallah has become an iconic symbol of Palestinian resistance and the struggle for justice. He is characterized by his simple clothing and the fact that he is always shown from behind with his hands clasped behind his back. This stance symbolizes his passive yet unwavering witness to the injustices faced by Palestinians. Hamdallah's age, which remains eternally 10, represents the age at which Al-Ali was forced to leave his homeland, marking a loss of innocence and a perpetual state of resistance. The character is widely recognized in the Arab world and has become a powerful emblem of defiance and solidarity. So it seems that it's this Palestinian character, cartoonist Naji Al-Ali, a 10-year-old boy. Hamdallah has become an iconic symbol of Palestinian resistance and struggle for justice. So yeah, Palestine's certainly the underdog. When I traveled throughout all of the different Palestinian cities, I certainly witnessed sense of injustice and struggle, but also resilience, specifically amongst the youth. You know, I can't imagine growing up in a Palestinian refugee camp as a young man. For instance, my friend Mohammed was around 21 years old at the time. We were actually the same age. Every morning I would knock on his door and go for a little walk to Hassan's house to drink tea and to speak and to just water his plants and his garden, as Hassan was elderly and sickly and on a breathing machine. Muhammad had no family. Muhammad was alone as a refugee. Muhammad had no brothers, no sisters, no father, no mother, nobody. He was alone. And every morning I would go to Muhammad's house, you know, I would partake in his morning routine. He served as this guiding force throughout my journey in Jericho, actually, and lived as a neighbor on the compound of another Palestinian man's home, where he built his own house, this young man, with cinder blocks and tin, and every morning he would work on his roof, and every morning he would build new rooms with his blocks, and he would hang out and, you know, mentor and guide this young boy who was the son of the man who lived beside him, and he found his own family. He cultivated his own way of being and living alone in this refugee camp. And I remember when we would go to Hassan's house, you know, Muhammad was just eager and open and listening to Hassan for guidance and wisdom, and you could see that he really had this strong relationship with the man, you know. And you know, it was like that father that he doesn't have. And you know, as I spent my time with Muhammad, you know, he guided me and even at times protected me. Where there was this time that I photographed this scene of young men. This one crazy guy came out of nowhere. You know, he was just the oddball out of the bunch who was trying to stunt on me in front of people, where he grabbed my camera from my neck and ripped it off of my neck. And I remember, actually, I did not respond, I did not react. I simply held my camera and just stood firmly, stood my ground, as if I were to retaliate using physical force. Yeah, perhaps that wouldn't have been a good idea, right? And so I sort of turned the other cheek, if you will. Muhammad coming to the rescue, fixing my camera strap, mending it with tape and string or rope, I forget, some sort of tape. And yeah, from there I had my camera strap back and running. You know, he was always there to protect me, guide me, and let the others know that I'm good people. And I mean, considering that cartoon of that young 10-year-old boy, right? I would photograph along the border of Jericho. And at the border of Jericho, there is no wall, but there is this barbed wire fence that separates. Wow, the light is just beautiful this morning. There is this barbed wire fence that separates Israel and Palestine. And these young boys, they were showing me, you know, they were around 10 years old. They were like, come here. Like, I was following them, and they took me to this empty frame, and they were playing around this frame, you know, climbing. And I remember doing like pull-ups and just playing around, making photos. And they took me to the barbed wire fence. You know, it was near this like little farm area. There were some like donkeys and these little shacks. And as they approached the barbed wire, these 10-year-old boys, the Israeli soldiers lift their rifles, and they're standing at the particular hour behind these bunkers that they strategically carve out at the border to make sure that nobody is crossing. And when I saw the gun point towards the 10-year-old boy as they play around, certainly in a risky location, man, did it startle me. And so there's certainly a resilience that the Palestinian people have that I empathize with. I'll never forget when I arrived in Bethlehem. I was like, wow, this is like this holy place, you know, this is beautiful. And then you see the looming wall, you know, and it's like, wow, that's a really big prison. It's pretty crazy. But maybe even considering, let me just turn it back to the United States of America, my crazy philosophy and thoughts about prison. Maybe since we were little kids, we've been programmed to live in a prison, becoming boxed in, thinking of high school. At my school specifically, I remember having to, and I'm not trying to compare this to living within the walls of Palestine. I'm just making a metaphor just regarding school and prison as I go on my tangents. And so I remember in high school here in Philadelphia, there was security. You had to go through a metal detector. You had to put your bags through the x-ray. There was guards at every door lurking in the halls. All of the doors were locked. You were not allowed to go outside for 8 hours a day. Not on your lunch period, not on a break. You were forced inside. You could not go outside. And, you know, I suppose because the neighborhood is dangerous, you know, however, there are these beautiful parklands and grounds that were right behind the school and on the side of the school that we could have been allowed to roam in. But alas, you weren't allowed outside, right? You were essentially confined to the four corners of these little prison cells in these classrooms where they teach you really nothing. I mean, what does high school teach you? But just to memorize a few things and then regurgitate them on a test. It's almost like they set you up for anything but success, truly. And I oftentimes found myself skipping class. I oftentimes found myself exploring outside when you weren't supposed to, finding the doors that were unlocked and, you know, escaping the school and looking around the different neighborhood and just exploring openly and walking in the grass and walking in the park that was in the back of the school. You know, I sought freedom. I felt as though I was being confined to these boxes. You know, don't put me in a box. You know, a bird can't fly in a cage. You know, I need to spread my wings. I need room. And certainly there is no room in a classroom when you're forced to sit down for 8 hours under these fluorescent lights. I mean, what is school preparing you for? But to just sit down in a in a box for the rest of your life. That's what it felt like, you know, upon reflecting it. And I certainly do not desire this life. I certainly don't want to box myself in. I think both physically and mentally. You know, I think we have to unshackle and untether ourselves both physically and mentally to transcend and go beyond the horizon and to seek power and our ultimate human biological potential. And maybe you must go beyond the constraints that society puts upon you, whether it's societal norms, behavior, dogmas, philosophies, religions, you know, politics, you know, left, right. You know, is there a middle ground? Is there somewhere where you can find, you know, a balance between everything and harmony? You know, maybe not. Maybe everything is entropy, random, this just chaos. But perhaps the beauty of being an artist, the beauty of photography, is finding meaning in the chaos, finding meaning in the mundane, finding novel ways to look at life, look at the world, and just be sort of awe-inspired by it, you know? And I think a simple way to do that is just waking up, you know, before the sun rises, you know, and just getting out there and just looking at life and just grabbing it. And yeah, I find this location to be the most beautiful space in the city of Philadelphia, overlooking the Schuylkill River, the beautiful waterfall, the boathouses, the architecture of the Philadelphia Museum of Art, the skyline, the trees, the breeze, the birds, the flowers, the plants, the grass, the rock structures. This is just a beautiful pavilion. There's amazing sculptures to view, and I think the beauty of the United States is that it's a place where we can truly be free, thinking of the Constitution, our First Amendment right of freedom of speech, freedom of expression. You know, maybe this is something to champion and remind ourselves of, as, yeah, there's certainly no other place I'd rather be right now than home in Philadelphia. I'm very grateful to have spaces like this to remind myself of my freedom, looking out beyond the horizon. Whoa, man. Yeah, I like to put my camera on this little rock here. Man, the sounds of the birds are just music to my ears. Yeah, maybe we should fly like birds. Without a cage.